Hey there, Gemstones. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Haley.
And we are Jasper and Emerald, and we have recently begun traveling. Right now we are in La Paz, Baja California, and we thought we would share a little bit of what we've learned in regards to going out to eat and the food arrangements in Mexico.
One of the things that we have noticed is they offer an English menu option sometimes, which can be helpful and unhelpful sometimes, depending on a couple of times that worked out well, but there was once where we had trouble because one of the servers that was helping us did not speak English well enough. So we ended up having trouble with the ordering our food anyways, so.
Yeah, it was one of those rare cases where our Spanish was stronger than their English, and we would have been better off with a Spanish menu because we could have kind of worked our way through telling what we wanted. So we had this menu, told us exactly what we wanted, and we had no way of communicating that to the server. And so we were like, that did not turn out as well as we were hoping.
So we've had some interesting experiences with the beverages. So in America, we were kind of talking about how our default is water. You don't have to pay for water in America. So I would go to a restaurant and be like, well, this is a good time to get some more water intake. And it's free that way.
Yes.
It cuts down on the cost of your meals. And then we got here and I was still in that mindset and was drinking water with all my meals, and then realized we were paying the same amount for the water as we would for anything else. And I love horchata, and so the first time I realized it, I was like, can I have horchata? So try out the drinks here.
Yes, and they have different ideas of what a drink is. One of the times we went, for instance, and it listed avena, which literally means oatmeal. And we're like, okay, that's weird. We've got to get it. And it was actually served in a coffee mug. It was a very thin oatmeal, a little bit of spice, reminiscent of like chai tea, with some slices of banana on the side to put in to act as a creamer to thicken and sweeten. And it actually turned out to be a very pleasant breakfast type drink. I would never have guessed that oatmeal drink would be something I like, but Emily got it and I tasted it. I was like, you know what, next time I might have to get that. That was pretty cool.
Yes, very good.
So we ordered it, we talked about what it was. And we had gotten a barley drink that was chilled, agua fresca, before, and so we thought maybe that was kind of what it was going to be, and it was a little different, but they both had kind of similar flavors. They both kind of had cinnamony flavors.
Right, yes, definitely.
But neither were quite what I expected.
Definitely not.
Yeah, the barley drink was interesting because it had a little bit of a malty hit, along with a spiced tea feel, which was, again, very interesting, very fun. And then Haley on several occasions got hibiscus, which beautiful grape juice type color.
Yes,
with a flavor that's a little grapey, but also a little bit lighter and more aromatic. Hard to describe, you're just gonna have to go try it. So one of the things we learned in Mexico is they will not bring the ticket until you ask for it. In the United States, after you kind of are winding down on the meal and they notice that you're about done, they will bring you that ticket and drop it off, let you know how to pay. In Mexico, they do not do that. They are not trying to push you out. If you want to sit there and chat, if you want to order dessert, if you want to get another drink, another appetizer, they're ready and willing to get that for you, but they will not bring the ticket until you ask. So it's really easy. Just la cuenta, por favor. They know exactly what you're talking about. They have it ready to go. They're just waiting for you to ask, and they'll bring it over, and that's the cue that you're ready to end your meal. They will not give you that cue though.
Right. Something else you'll want to do is make sure to bring cash. They very rarely have the option to use your credit card, so plan on bringing some money, which you can easily get from ATMs down here, they're pretty easily to access. Walmart, places like that you could go in and get the Mexican money.
Yes, and talking about the cash, getting used to the different values and denominations takes a little bit of time.
Yes.
It's really easy to fall into either,
Right.
wow, this is really stinking expensive, I'm getting ripped off,
Right.
or thinking this is really super cheap, and then doing the conversion and realizing it was more money than you expected. And it's also a little bit harder to figure out how much you need to carry.
Right.
So you kind of need to look at how many people you have, kind of look at how much each meal is going to be, and then start calculating, okay, we find that when we go somewhere, I've been finding that most of our restaurant experiences, for 8 people, I'm spending in the 12 to 1,600 peso range for the meal, and that includes the drinks and everything. There have been a couple of times where it's been a little more, a couple of times where it's been a little bit less, but generally it's in that range. And so before we get to the restaurant, I check to make sure that I have about 2,000, so that way I'm not pinched.
Another thing we're finding is it's interesting to try new things down here. So we tried a cactus dish. It's always interesting to see what they have to offer, and we've found that we've actually really enjoyed everything that we've had.
Very good.
You can always ask what's in the meal, or use the translator app to figure out what it says.
Yes.
But we had no trouble with that.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to ask. The people are super friendly.
Yep.
And they're kind of excited to talk about their culinary take on life. And so if you ask, it doesn't make it look like you're stupid. It makes it look like you're adventurous. And they kind of reward that adventurous spirit. And they'll be like, oh yeah, we do this or we do that or we put this thing in there. And then, of course, if you have a dietary requirement, don't expect them to tell you about all of the ingredients, all of the, so we're looking at.
Allergens.
Yes. Don't expect them to tell you about all the possible food allergies. That's on you. So if you're being adventurous and you're asking, it protects you in both ways. Because if they tell you, oh yeah, we put peanuts in this and you're allergic to peanuts, that's a great time for you to say, oh, well then I should avoid that. Or to ask, does this have peanuts in it? But, you know, again, if you don't ask, particularly when the list of ingredients is in Spanish, you may miss critical information. So just don't be afraid to get out there and try out your Spanish. Chances are their English is good enough to carry the day, but show them you have a little bit of Spanish, ask some questions, and don't shy away from adventure.
Yes.
So we found it's nice to try starting out with Spanish. Right? Just try to order in Spanish, try to speak, say a greeting in Spanish. And often they will default to English. They'll ask you, do you speak Spanish? And then you can be like, oh yeah, I speak a little bit. And then they're usually happy to be like, oh, okay, well. And if they speak English, they'll speak in English. And they seem happy to do it. Like they seem happy to practice their English with you, rather than you having to fumble through your Spanish. I try to, sometimes I answer in Spanish anyway, and they'll continue answering in English. I can't tell, like, do they want me to speak English or not? But they are happy to speak English with you, usually.
Yes.
Another nice thing, if they speak English, it slows down the rate of speech. Spanish is a beautiful language. Sometimes it's at machine gun rates, and you're just like, I know these words, but there's no way I can keep up with you. So if they start speaking English, it kind of dials it down a little bit, and you can then work with them a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I can definitely tell, though, if you come in and greet with hello, it sets a different vibe than if you come in and say Buenos tardes. They're like, they're at least trying. They're showing a little respect, and they will return that. So, you know, give it a shot. They appreciate it.
One of the things that we have learned also is that every restaurant is unique. There's not a bunch of chain restaurants. It's more just mom and pop restaurants. So, which you do get, the experience is definitely nicer there.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the people who are waiting on you really are giving it their all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the owner who's waiting on you usually, or there's a few people reworking, and so it seems like they're more service oriented here. So they're really determined to keep you happy and to serve you well.
Yep.
And it feels like the recipes are maybe something their abuelita, their grandmother, taught them, and so they each have their own little flair. So you may say, well, I already had enchiladas suizas.
Right.
Yeah, but that was at a different restaurant. Try it here and compare the differences.
Yep.
A different choice of cheese, a little bit different spice arrangement, a little bit take on the refried beans or the Spanish rice. These little things add up, and you're like, even though I ordered the exact same thing, the vibe, the spice level is totally different. It's so much more interesting. You know, at home in the States when we go out to eat, I know what I'm going to get. I know what it's going to be like. I know I'm going to enjoy it. Here, I know it's going to be good, but I don't know what I'm going to get. And it really is fun to kind of take that time to say, oh,
Right.
I taste a little bit of this flavor. I taste a little bit of that flavor. And you do a lot more. Take a bite of my food. I'm going to take a bite of your food. And then, oh, I should have ordered that. Or, you know, next time I'll get, because it's just, there's so much more character and uniqueness in every restaurant's food take.
Not just the food, the ambiance changes depending on where you go also. So there's a lot of outdoor restaurants, but even being outdoors, like even having that in common, there's so much variety in the way that they look and the feel that they give. So we've been to a restaurant that's like a jungle. You're sitting in a jungle, and there's a fountain nearby and parakeets. But then we've been on one that's just along the street, which was surprisingly nice, considering we were just literally on the sidewalk.
Yes.
On the side of the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And something else we've noticed with the restaurants is because of our family size back at home, we always try to help put tables together because we always have to have at least 2 tables. But we've noticed here they definitely prefer for you to not help. It's kind of a pride thing for them, it feels. So just try to sit back and let them do it. But they seem to feel, quite a few of them, bothered if you try to help them out. So just let them quick get it together for you. And but we've been just those things, definitely a little bit of differences from home. So.
All right, when you're ordering a drink, the drink that you get is all that you get.
Yes.
So don't expect any refills. They don't come back and refill your drink for you. So don't down it all before the food gets there.
Yes. Like our children do usually.
Yeah.
Slow it down.
On the upside, the drink doesn't break the bank, so you have to buy a second one.
Yeah.
Which means if you're going to buy a second one, get something different.
Yes.
You know, don't just keep getting the same thing. Enjoy the variety and try something new. And then the other thing is the tipping culture is a little bit different. They don't expect it as much, and the amount is not as much. If you leave a 10% tip, that's a nice tip in Mexico. Whereas if you leave a 10% tip in the United States, they might spit in your food next time. You know, it's so offensive that you gave them so little. So it is, and of course, you're doing it in cash. Cash. So don't forget to have some smaller denominations in your wallet for leaving that appropriate tip.
Yes.
So those are the experiences we've had so far in Mexico. We have a ton more to share with you, and we're hoping to do more of it. So until next time, Jasper and Emerald, live boldly, love intentionally. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.